Hi there guys, we're JC Ryan James Crop, and in today's video I want to be discussing where I've been for the past 3 months, along with a video that I shot 5 years ago where I astral projected and met my future daughter. Those of you who have been keeping up to date with me on social media would have already heard that our daughter Theodora has been born. She was born on the 22nd of June, which makes her a Cancer baby. And I also want to discuss some of the changes I made to my website ryancropper.com, which includes the remaking of a course and the removal of another one. Okay, to be remade at a later date. And so if you own a course, it's important for you to wait to the end of this video to be updated on any new changes. Okay, so let's get into today's video. 5 years ago, I left my body and I ended up traveling into the future. I believe that I traveled into a dimensional plane parallel to those future events. And what I ended up encountering, or rather who I ended up encountering, was a little girl, one of which called me Daddy. That's right. My daughter. Now I came back and I was quite shocked, and I also recorded the entire experience afterwards. The story, how the whole astral projection began in the first place, which I'll get into in a second, and overall my thoughts on the experience. So the way it started was 5 years ago, I laid in bed and I heard my door open. Now this was kind of alarming because I was aware at the time that my door was locked. And so you can imagine the surprise on my face when I hear the door creaking. I believe that it's my brother. I have a twin brother. Perhaps he found a way to open up the door. So I turn around to check, and I find myself sliding out and appearing in the etheric plane. I know it's the etheric plane because it's gray. The color has been dimmed way down. And so I get up and I close the door. But during that time, I think to myself, I could do something here, I was at a stage in my life where I generally wanted to be happy. And what better way to find out whether or not you're going to be happy in the future than to leave your body and actually travel there. So I had my hand on the handle, I closed the door, and I said in my mind, will I ever be happy? I remember it like it was yesterday. I gave it a moment, for the reality to respond to my question. And then I opened the door. The hallway wasn't my hallway anymore. I was in a... How was it? Yeah, I was in a living room. I was inside a living room and I was watching myself walk, but I didn't have control of me walking. It was like I was just an observer of my future self. And I kicked a toy as I walked into a chair. And I heard noises of a child, and I could feel the love inside my future self's body. And I heard the words Daddy. And as I looked up, there was this kid. She had curly hair, It was lighter than mine, but not too light. Her forehead came up a little bit. She had this small little chin, and she looked to be around 6 to 8 years old. At this point, I'm in shock, and I start crying, which was new to me back then. I found it really hard to cry back then. It actually took a lot to get that going again within myself. And to my surprise, I could feel a tear on my face over here, which is kind of odd. Usually I can't feel anything in my physical body when I'm traveling, but that prompted me to snap back into my physical body. I took my hand and I put it underneath the pillow and I took out my phone. I then recorded the experience for YouTube. I then uploaded it straight away. I hadn't even opened my curtains yet to start the day. And so if you're interested in watching that video that I shot 5 years ago, you can do so simply by clicking on the annotation in the video, or I'll leave the link in the description below. It's pretty cool. I've recently posted it again on my community wall over on YouTube, so you've probably watched it within the past week already. There's one small detail that I have yet to mention in this video. I mentioned it in the last video, and that detail is the color of her eyes. You see, in that experience 5 years ago, her eyes were grayish blue. Alright? Now that's going to play a part in everything soon. So, fast forward 5 years, Theodora is born. She's beautiful. She looks very similar to the girl that I met in the astral plane. Her eyes have yet to set into a color. Usually within the first 8 months to a year, the eyes tend to change on a newborn. It definitely happens with animals. You see, this is where it all ties in. During the pregnancy of Sherzet, that's the name of my partner, we adopted 2 kittens. And can you guess what color their eyes were? It was silvery blue. Matter of fact, they were the exact same color as Theodora's eyes in the astral plane. Now, the astral planes are very symbolic. They're very representational of things to come. And so, this is what I think happened. I believe I astral projected 5 years into the future in an astral dimension next to those future events. And that astral plane decided to take attributes of our life here during the pregnancy and kind of smashed them together to create this experience in the astral plane where I'm seeing my daughter with the cat's eyes. Now, if you haven't guessed it, let's get into what I've been doing for the past 3 months. Alright, obviously I've been looking after Theo and her mum during recovery. We also ended up going to our first family trip to an elephant sanctuary. 30 elephants were rescued by a man named Nigel Mason. He then brought it over here to his sanctuary and he started to rehabilitate the elephants. Okay. Crazy thing is that because of COVID-19, not many people have been able to get into the theme park. Me and our family were the only ones there when we went to visit. The downfall of this is that if the elephants don't get enough playtime with common people, they slowly lose their mind. We saw this happen. There was a few of them that were chained up and they were just walking. If you're not walking with them, if you're not on their backs, which they actually like, surprisingly enough, if you're not washing them and you're not playing with them in their giant kind of like lake area, then they just end up rocking backwards and forwards. Other than that, we've just been in lockdown. We don't want to leave Bali right now because from what we're seeing, the United States and the UK are pretty bad with all of this coronavirus stuff happening. And so it'd be a nightmare for us to leave, only to realize that our situation would be worse off over there, and then we can't come back here. So we've just been chilling out, making the best of this spiritual, wonderful place. And so I used this time to rebuild my website from the ground up. It's way nicer. And there's also a video there of me pulling a memory out of Hannah's head. Hannah is a media producer, I believe, for the up-and-coming YouTube channel Vice. So you can check that out by searching ryancropper.com. Now getting into the courses, and then after that I actually want to talk about some psychedelic experiences that I had in regard to the pregnancy, trying to see inside of her belly, you know, get a sneak peek. But I'll talk about that after. And so the courses, I completely rebuilt the manifestation course. It's been replaced with the 7-day manifestation program, which is so much more in depth. It's so much more practical and powerful when it comes to achieving real results. I did mention before I released my courses that they would be prone to being adapted and updated over time. The astral projection one is being completely remade as well, so that's nice and new and fresh. So yeah, it shouldn't really be that much of a surprise. However, the memory mastery course has been completely removed. Alright, I'm gonna be remaking that at a later date and time. They've been discounted because of COVID-19. I put them really low so that people can afford them, and it's for a limited time only. It's actually a newcomer deal. Alright, so if you're new to my website, you automatically get the deal. Okay, so Indonesia has an active death penalty here for anyone who's partaking in the use of psychedelics. Pretty much any substance that classifies as a drug, even cannabis. Yes. And so I had to really think about taking mushrooms, but we did it anyway. We went to a beach. I had a friend here, he gave me some, and we did a little ceremony by the shore. We each had a cup, and we filled up our cups twice. So I had 2 cups full of psilocybin mushrooms. It was the most vivid experience I've ever had on a psychedelic. So vivid. I was seeing creatures in the sky that were titanic in size. I was laying there on the beach, and all of a sudden, I was out of body, and I was viewing these monsters. Very beautiful though. Not scary. I don't mean to make them seem really like terrifying, but they were huge in the sky. If you've ever seen Cloverfield Lane or you've heard of the story surrounding the Chicxulub in the Lovecraft novels. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to size. These things were colossal. And as I'm looking at these creatures, there's one that looks like an octopus, and it's bent itself in a specific sigil shape. It's really cool. It's like, how am I going to maybe put a screenshot on the screen? But all of a sudden, I get disturbed by this sense that something is behind me. And so I tilt my head up and I see this woman that is kind of bent over and she's all like this, getting closer to me. And I think maybe she'll go away. And so I just bring my head back and I just keep looking at this sight in front of me. And then I get this itching feeling to look. And so I turn around again and I see her. This time she's really freaking close and she grabs my head, the back of my head. And she actually pulls out of me a part of my personality, which is freaking out. She's dragging this aspect of my personality all along the field. And he's kicking and he's freaking out and he's looking at me for help. And I'm pretty high at this point. Then this shaman-like figure shows up, crouches down by my ear and says, "You should probably go get that." So I get up, I then turn around and I jump backwards into myself that is being carried by this entity. Then I get away. We're walking to another part of the beach because we've been told to leave by security. We wandered onto this other beach because of Corona. All these resorts have been closed down and this one looked really nice, so we decided to take a stroll over there and have our experience on that side of the beach. But we get escorted out. And I'm looking at the hotel where Shahrazad is. She's up there pregnant as hell. It's like month 8 or 9. And I think to myself, oh, my third eye's open. Let's check. Yep, it's pretty open. Let's see if I can see through her belly and take a sneak peek at Theodora. So I go up there. I see her laying there. I lift up the blanket and I look at the belly. But I don't see her. I see what she's in. It's like, the placenta. I see this white glow coming from the inside, but I can't get my astral head in there to take a peek. And when I try, I hear this voice say, "You're not allowed to." I say, "I'm her dad." They say, "I don't care." You're not allowed to see her. She's really protected, by things that we literally don't often encounter on a day in, day out basis. Maybe if you take some psychedelics, or maybe if you end up astral projecting, you'll see them. But she's definitely protected. So that's going to be about it, guys, for today's video. I just discussed where I've been for the past 3 months, including an astral projection experience that I had 5 years ago, and how that ties into the events of today. If you're interested in learning how to astral project, then head on over to my website, ryancopper.com, where I have an online mastery course. Okay, I'll leave a link in the description below. Have a good one. Peace.
Hi, Daddy. Daddy, 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 yay!